The Judge Samuel Holten House is a fine example of chronological and architectural house development from 1670 to 1832. It was also the Revolutionary period home of Samuel Holten, physician, statesman, and judge. This is History in Your Backyard. I'm Arch Astolfi, continuing to bring you visits to historic places in Danvers. Today we are visiting the Judge Samuel Holten House at 171 Holten Street at the junction of Holten, Collins, and Center Streets. Our guest today is Mrs. Elizabeth Duffill, who is chairman of the Board of Trustees of the House Committee, which oversees the use and maintenance of the house. Elizabeth, starting with Samuel Holten himself, can you give us a brief summary of his life?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Samuel Holten was born over here on Prince Street, but later on he moved over here to this house. He was born in 1738. He had hoped to go to college, and he studied with Reverend Peter Clark of the First Church. But by the time he was 12 years old, he became ill, and therefore college was forgotten. After a while, he improved and decided to study with Dr. Jonathan Prince to be a doctor. At the age of 18, Dr. Prince felt that he was ready to start his practice. So he went to Gloucester, where he met Marjorie Warner, whom he married. They had 3 children, all girls. He had no son to bear his name. He came back to Danvers after they had been married 2 years and lived in this house for the rest of his life. During his life, he became very active in public affairs, as well as practicing as a doctor. But at the beginning of the Revolution, he gave up his medicine for good and became active in government affairs. In 1775, he was appointed a judge at the Essex County Court, where he served for 32 years. Later on, he was appointed a delegate to the Yorktown Convention, where the Articles of the Confederation were formed. Part of the time, he was even chairman or presided over that meeting. Thus, we can say, at brief times, he was president of our country. He served in the state senate, in the governor's council, in the Congress under the Confederation, and he was 2 years under the Federal Commission. In Danvers, he held every responsible office. I can truly say that Judge Samuel Holten was the most distinguished person that Danvers has ever had. He died in 1816, and he is buried in the Holten Street Cemetery on land which he gave to the town.
Now, even though the main part of the house was first built in 1670, there have been many additions over the years. And can you tell us about those, Elizabeth?
Yes, I can. In fact, there were 6 additions in a period of 143 years. This model, part of the model, represents the first house, which went from this corner over to that corner. This was built in 1670. In 1689, another addition was added. Wasn't another one. Then in 1700, they needed a kitchen. So the one-room house became a 2-room house really, became a 3-room house. This addition was put on the back of the original house. In 1750, we had 3 additions. Continue with the final section on the front of the house. A kitchen for the back of the house. And this garden room which Judge Holten used for his office. And the last addition was this section on the back of the house, which was added in 1832, making a total of 6 additions in 143 years.
Now, I understand that the house is owned and maintained by the General Israel Putnam chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and they have a number of projects that they have been running to finance the maintenance and improvement of the house. Now, could you tell us about their decision to buy a house and also about the projects that they have been running?
Yes, gladly. In 1921, because of a large increase in the membership of the chapter, it was decided that we should have our own home or meeting house. So they looked around and they decided to purchase the Judge Samuel Holten House. The purchase price was $3,000. Now remember that was in January 1921 that they decided this. By the end of February, they had raised $2,000. They were going to use $1,000 to pay a down payment, and the other $1,000 was going to be used to fix up the interior. We do have had many projects. Right now, we are working on a doll making project. In fact, today, the doll makers are working here in the garden room. Would you like to come in and see them?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's go.
Well, here we are in the garden room working on the dolls.
Right. First of all, I'd like to introduce you to Barbara Eaton, who is the coordinator of this doll project. Barbara, could you tell us a little bit about the project and what your hopes and plans are for the use of the money that you have earned?
Well, this is our second in a series of country dolls. Last year we made our doll that's sitting here in the chair, and that was made in honor of Mrs. Charles Masery, our first regent. Our second doll is named Harriet, and all the dolls will be alike, but they'll be dressed for the 7 days of the week. And all the ladies come each week and we work on the dolls. What we've done with the money that we've earned so far from the, we call this the Eunice doll, we put in a reproduction oriental carpet up the front stairs and in the hall. With the money that we hope to earn from Harriet, we'd like to buy some documented antiques in the 1790 to 1830 period to update our museum room upstairs.
Yes. Now we are at the rear of the house, and this is an interesting building.
This is the privy. It was built in 1800. As you can see, there are 2 doors, otherwise known as 2 rooms. One with a service for 4 and one with service for 3. The roof is a pagoda style and is topped with a pineapple finial. Mr. Max Farrow, the preservation architect who has been helping us with our plans for restoration of the house, says this building is truly a gem. It is probably the only one of its kind in New England, and we are very happy to have it. We had the roof shingled this summer, and we have applied for a grant to have the rest of the building restored.
And here we are at the round to the side of the house, and we have this fountain. Can you tell us the history of that?
In 1915, the DAR voted to give to the town a monument in memory of the soldiers who fought in the American Revolution. So it was decided to have a horse drinking fountain. It was placed down in the Danvers Square, right near where the savings bank is, After 10 years, an automobile hit it and broke the base. So the town hauled it away to the dump. I'm sure the DAR would not have purchased it had they realized it would be only 10 years before the automobile replaced the horse. But anyway, the DAR had the fountain brought back and placed here, where it has been our memorial to the Revolutionary soldiers.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth Duffill of the General Israel Putnam chapter of the DAR. Our visit today has been to the Judge Samuel Holten House, which is one of the oldest in Danvers and the Revolutionary period home of one of Danvers' most distinguished citizens. Come and visit it in person. You can make arrangements by calling 774-0917. You will be greatly impressed by the interesting things that you will see here in this place of history in your backyard. I'm Astolfi for Danvers Diary.